Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. 11th day of December, 6 a.m. East African time. My name is Stanley Nyeringita. Ladies and gentlemen, it is 14 days to Christmas. I hope umetafuta mbuzi, umetafuta kuku ya kuchinja because you only have exactly 2 weeks.
Indeed. Good morning to you from wherever you're watching us across the continent and beyond. Welcome to Morning Cafe. My name is George Maringa. On this 11th day of December 2024, exactly a fortnight to Christmas. And as we look forward to ushering in the festive season, we trust you've had a wonderful night. Welcome to the bright and sunny and some perhaps cold, rainy, depending on where you are, Wednesday morning.
Yes.
We thank you for joining us. We're coming to you live from the broadcasting headquarters of TV47 right here in Kenya's capital, Nairobi.
Most definitely. In case this is your first time watching Morning Cafe, this particular show, Hotter Than Your Coffee, we make sure that you know your weather, your traffic, how it's going to be looking like, even as you travel to work or school, and also just to know how the headlines are looking like this particular morning. And I have to tell you, for the Kenyan dailies, 80% are just negative news. Maybe, I don't know, for the regional news, how they're looking like. But then for those very negative news, this is the panel that is going to be helping us understand that.
Why do you have to call my part negative? Unachocha. Anyway.
But I mean, it's true. These are the headlines here. We have the physical copies. As you can see, apart from politics that is making big news, which actually there's so much intrigues happening, George.
You know, Michelle Obama, what she said, she once said that government doesn't have a PR budget, an advertising budget. So it ought to do what it's supposed to do.
Okay.
So citizens ought to find out for themselves. They ought to, and the government needs to tell people what they're doing. So if it's bad news, imagine that's what's happening.
Well, you definitely have some esteemed
gentlemen.
Yes.
Yes, we've got a deputy governor, Stephen Munania from Murang'a County. He's the DG. We also got Gigi Kagombe, Member of Parliament, Gatundu South, as well as Professor Fred Ogola, governance expert. He is actually the Member of Parliament of one of the gentlemen who keeps making headlines since yesterday.
Well.
Yes. And we wait to see, he will tell us whether he knew he was having a guest in his constituency to visit his
Zile surprise visits that you're getting.
Yes.
So George, yesterday we were breaking a leg, and I might have learnt a thing or two about dancing, and I'll be using that. Because
so ladies and with the ballet?
Yes, and also even the modern dance.
Oh, okay.
Yes. George, today is hump day, one of those days that you know, it's closer to Friday. So we are definitely making sure that even as you're going to work today, ambia boss wako, leo, wacha kwanza nisikize TV47. Because you know what? On the ones and twos, the threes and fours, on the decks, DJ Granite will be making sure that your Wednesday is starting off in a very, very nice way. It feels like a furahi day already.
Furahi day. Umesema niko anguka nayo.
Bas.
Sawa.
And then Scenic Steppers dance crew, they will also be here showing you some moves that you definitely need to be having.
These are the guys who dance like they don't have bones.
I know. I'm always very, very envious.
You're very envious.
Yes.
But to each their own.
What did I tell you?
Hapa ni uongo na hongo. You're calling them negative news.
I mean, each and every single headline that you're going to be seeing on this front page is just negative. It's just some sad news.
That's why they say we have Netflix and all if you want good news. That's Stanley.
Hapa ni uongo na hongo, my favorite headline among all these dailies.
Yes, People Daily, SHA drops 104 billion shillings. Adani Tech System, that is on page 4. We shall be telling you why. Right now, you're just going through the top stories, the headlines.
Positive or negative?
Okay, this is ish. You know, you're the one who has a lot of negativity this morning.
No, I don't have negativity. I'm actually very positive. The fact that now the headlines. Okay. Business Daily.
World Bank warns Kenya on secret Adani type deals. I mean, how is this negative? See, it's just a warning from the World Bank.
Okay.
Lender flags risk of warning. risk of waning public confidence. And then state is also advised to embrace competitive bidding for projects.
So you
Basically,
choose to see the glass half full.
Of course. Basically, PPPs ensure they are, because you see there are two types of PPPs,
yes.
where the bidder goes ahead and says, okay, like I would come and say, okay, Stanley, I notice you could use, say, a burgundy suit. And then there is where you now say, I, Stanley, is looking for burgundy green this suit. So this one, the last Adani, how it was the supplier or the Adani at this point saying, actually we can offer this.
Yes.
So now it's being said, put it competitive so that then it is competitive for everyone.
Okay.
That also increases chances. You see, when you also put it out there, you'll notice maybe I'll offer you a double breast or another double breast or a single breast.
Well, independent, fresh, and different is what the Star is all about, and they're definitely different today. Muhoho sent for CS Post. Maybe Ruto's number 2. They're already jumping the gun on that and saying, this is what we know, and these are the maybes here.
We need to read the second name of this gentleman, Muhoho Kenyatta.
Muhoho Kenyatta,
And
yes.
who was met 2 days ago?
Uhuru Kenyatta.
Yes. Let's proceed.
And Asemapo, you remember back in primary school, fill in the dots.
Fill in the dots.
Yourself,
Yes.
taking you back on that.
The more things change.
Speaking of Kenyatta,
Yes. Ruto and Uhuru talks jolt politics. That is the headline on the Standard newspaper, Kenya's bold newspaper. And they have a very interesting choice of photos. You remember the red ties and the white shirts?
Yes.
And they have had quite a long history from, in this 2013 picture, President Kenyatta and Deputy William Ruto, when they named their very first cabinet, the political friends and fools have had a troubled relationship. We'll be telling you what these talks and how they have jolted politics. What do you have on the Daily Nation, Stanley?
speaking of Adani, Adani-linked SHA hospital system fails. Positive or negative? Glass half full or glass half empty?
Okay, let me tell you, with the festivities coming, so we have a fortnight. We don't want anything that will lower our sugar levels. So
Positive vibes all the way.
positive vibes all the way.
Right. So
If they-
this is what is on the front page. Now, you'll also realize that in all or a majority of all these dailies, there's also a very, very key story that has been all the way there. This photo. And different dailies have gone with different photos.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Kenyans run into trouble with the police in march against gender-based violence. When we come back to the Kenyan dailies, we'll be taking a look at how it happened and why this march was happening for you.
There's a very interesting comment I saw when someone posted this picture, or after the police harassed the protesters.
Yes.
And it was very funny. It was regarding the police.
Okay.
Because, I mean, surely it's ending femicide. That's what they were demonstrating
Yes.
about. It was not finance bill.
They're protesting against violence against women,
Yes.
yet you are melting violence against...
On the front line.
Yes.
Yeah, the police had quite an interesting day yesterday.
Well, now you remember yesterday, now this is the front page of Uganda's paper,
Yeah.
Daily Monitor. So yesterday we were talking about how this gentleman pictured here, retired Colonel Dr. Kiza Besigye, was sent to appear before the General Court. Okay, actually, at that time, they're calling it oranges or apples. And they're trying to see, will he be appearing before the Kawaida kind of court or the court-martial, and who is to decide? But then, so he finally appeared before the General Court-Martial and condemned Kiza Besigye to his second Christmas in jail since training his eyes on the presidency. Now, the latest and fresh details on this, apparently, the Law Society of Kenya has turned up the heat seeking the country's approval to ban Ugandan lawyers from practicing in Kenya.
Aura for aura.
Yes. I think this comes after the ban on Mother Karua to be part of Kiza Besigye's, one of the lawyers.
And after a busy week last week, she's back there. And the Law Society of Kenya released a statement. And of course, it was quite interesting to see how the LSK came to the defense of its barristers, its lawyers. And it's the most interesting thing, or rather the most weird thing, is about the second Christmas in jail. So this is not the first one. Oof. Can you imagine the second Christmas? And then you're being tried in the court-martial. And everyone is trying to get all these conversations on human rights. You have a senior counsel representing you, but still things are not moving. Speaks of the wheels of justice.
And the fact that this happened on Human Rights Day. Yes.
And then, there is this conversation over here, but the most interesting thing is, you see, this is what I was looking for. Architectural designs that dominated 2024. If you notice, Uganda is growing its infrastructure in a slow but steady way. Even their airport is coming up well. And they have also designed these contemporary and very flat-roofed types of construction. Anyway, the Citizen in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania. Why shilling rally is set to continue? The shilling has rallied to a 10-month high against the US dollar, and the government, banking on a number of key factors, is confident the trend will continue until at least February 2025.
All right.
That is the story on page 2. You can see the shilling, the Tanzanian shilling versus the dollar. It is at 25.13, 27.72, 26.21.
So as of yesterday, as of 4th of October, and as of 29th of November. Before we cross over to the front page of the Mwananchi, they have this story, which now on Mwananchi they have separated these two. So yesterday, there's one Samia explains cabinet reshuffle, and the one that you're pointing at for the WHO Africa post. Following
the death of the other one.
Yes. Yeah. So this particular story here, they had this, and we were telling you how since Samia Suluhu came into power in Tanzania in 2021, she has done 15 cabinet reshuffles, and now she was explaining how it's really important. And just to quote her, our communication and technology sectors are advancing rapidly, and with the National Digital Economy Strategy in place, we need a ministry that is entirely focused on driving this transformation. And as you can see on the front page of gazeti la Mwananchi, wako nao mawaziri wapya ambao walikuwa na kula kiapo cha maadili.
Rais Samia atoboa kuwa ndiye ataidhinishwa kuwania nafasi iliyoachwa wazi na Daktari Dungulile. Shirika la Afya Duniani, sababu za mabadiliko ya mawaziri zatajwa, waelezwa ya kuanza nayo.
Ni baadhi tu ya vidokezo kwenye regional matters. Kenya, Uganda, as well as Tanzania. We'll be back to take a look at the Kenyan dailies and see what is really making big news. Yes. Right now, though, let's tell you what is going to be like. Do you need a jacket? Do you need a very... it's going to be sun-kissing for the weather. And we take a look at different parts of the country.
Starting with Turkana.
Yes.
Turkana, and let's see how warm it is. It is highs of 36, lows of 23. Warm during the entire day, and a bit cold perhaps leading into the night. Lows of 23.
This isn't even cold, because if at 9 p.m. it's 29 degrees, that's the highest temperatures you might be seeing somewhere in Nairobi.
68% humidity. Ooh. That's so high.
In Nairobi, so as you can see in Turkana at night it's 29. How about in, okay, this decided to, let's just have it load. Yes, there we have it. So yes, now imagine the fact that in Turkana the highest temperatures at night, the lowest actually at night is 29.
29.
Even Nairobi atufiki mahali hapo.
Because our highest today is 25.
Yes.
But you know, it's raining from, it's going to start raining in the next 45 minutes, 20% chance of rain. Let's see the precipitation. Actually it's 0.00.
Yeah.
There is
some light showers.
Yeah, some light showers all the way leading into the night.
Yes, and it might just be raining in the evening as well. In the coast region,
Kwale County,
if you're planning to start your coastal kind of Christmas mood.
The highs of 31, lows of 23, with some light showers here and there. Let's see if there is any precipitation. Yes, 5.8 millimeters is the precipitation levels of the weather, or rather the situation in Kwale County. Let's now go to Bomet. Bomet, on the other hand, is also quite cold. Highs of 24, lows of 13. Guys might want today to carry some jumpers with them. Let's see the precipitation levels. 1.3 millimeters, not too high. And then finally, in the lakeside city, United Kisumu. Highs of 29, lows of 18. It's a bit, we know you have to keep checking how Saturday will be for them.
Yes.
Because you know who is coming on Saturday?
Oh, most
Who
definitely.
is coming?
Kofi Olomide is
Olomide.
already the country Prince Inda
Yes.
for your Mzuko Fest.
So, actually, that if they decide to go feel the place from 7, they will have a wonderful, wonderful stay.
Yes.
And a wonderful time. So, but the weather is looking there. There could be some light thunderstorms today, but it's all good, all clear. They don't have to worry. Only some light showers way into the night. Yes.
Right. And speaking of what is going to be happening also, let me just give you a rundown of what might be happening today, particularly on Matters Health. It's going to be some very interesting scenes today. So now, we do expect the Nairobi hospital doctors and nurses have issued some 7-day strike notice demanding that immediate resignation of entire head of directors as well as the acting CEO. So apparently, meanwhile, the Nairobi hospital management is also set to issue a statement to clarify in all this. So first off, the strike notice that has been issued as well as an interrupted operation. So we expect some push and pull on that. Something else that is going to be happening today, the Kabete National Polytechnic graduation. So it's going to be key because the chief guest expected is Cabinet Secretary of Education, that is Julius Migosi, just to speak on the higher learning situation in the country and all other matters, probably also the grade 9 and other matters of education. That is just a nutshell of what to expect. Remember, Jamhuri Day is tomorrow, so we do expect also from the Interior Principal Secretary, Dr. Raymond Omolo, to be giving the country and just being going to that particular event and giving us some updates of how that event is going to be like tomorrow. Right now, though, let's go deep into the papers. Right. I'm meant to understand that he is going to be expected to arrive in the country, Kofi Olomide, for the Mzuka Fest happening on the 14th of this month. That is on Saturday at Jomo Kenyatta Stadium, Mambo Leo. Right now, though, on the papers, the best headline this morning, according to me, kwenye gazeti la Taifa Leo, hapa ni uongo na hongo. Si maneno yetu haya, ni maneno ya shirika hili linajiita Africa Center for Open Governance, AFRICOG, kisema kuwa utawala wa miaka miwili wa Rais William Ruto umepokea alama duni na shutuma kali kwa kukita mfumo wa ufisadi na kuepuka adhabu ili kujinusuru kisiasa. Ni kulingana na ripoti hiyo.
Pia Wakenya wanaarifiwa kwamba bei ya Kenya imeshuka. Benki ya Dunia, World Bank, yashusha kiwango cha makadirio ya ukuaji wa uchumi nchini hadi 4.7% kutoka 5.0%, from 5.0% to 4.7%. Na vile vurugu polisi wakitawanya wanawake, waandamanaji waliolalamikia mauaji ya wanawake warushiwa vitoa machozi na polisi. Why would you do that? That's just so wrong. Anyway, let's go to the paper. Let's go to these others first. This one, that is Ruto and Uhuru talks jolt politics. Now, a surprise meeting between President Ruto and Uhuru Kenyatta, two bigwigs with a long history together, sends politics into a spin and raises questions on shape of broad-based government, political fate of Mount Kenya and Azimio's future. That is on page 6 and 7. And as we told you, they've gone with a very interesting picture of the day the two were announcing the very first cabinet in 2013, and they have talked about how the two, when they named the first cabinet, and the political friends and foes have had a troubled friendship, a troubled relationship, as in whatever interactions they've had. And also we've got this stop killing our girls and women, protesters demand. And demonstrators flooded Nairobi streets yesterday during the final day of 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. And these protests, of course, were marred by attacks by the police. In the insert over there is a book serialization, part 4, on Against the Tide by the Honorable Martha Karua, surviving 2003 plane crash from celebration to mourning. Now, this is the continued focus on Against the Tide by Martha Karua. In 2003, the angel of death swooped on Martha Karua and her colleagues as they took to the skies, after Mudia Warriors Busia homecoming. The crash killed her cabinet colleague Ahmed Halif and 2 pilots. Her friend Wanjiru Kehoro remained in a coma for years before succumbing to her injuries. And of course, in that plane crash, there has been a famous throwback video, and actually it's in the book, a picture of her and the other Martha, that is CJ Martha Koome, when they survived, because Martha Koome was her guest at that Thanksgiving of, or rather the homecoming of Mudia Wari, and you can see that picture that has been able to trend over the last couple of years when they survived that plane crash. Martha Koome and Martha Karua. More details that you can find in Against the Tide. That is the front page of the Standard newspaper.
Yes, I should look for that book and
you should
go through it. Yes.
You should look for that book.
I'm seeing you flip the pages before we even get to any interesting news in the insert, before we get to the back page on Matter Sports.
I know, just the conversations on are now questions about the political future of the Mount Kenya region and Azimio coalition. There is also Gachagwa's ouster has thrown the mountain region into a political crisis, thus highlighting need for one voice. And then the Uhuru talks, strategic move or sign of weakness in Kenya Kwanza. Of course, yesterday we had Geoffrey Ruku saying it couldn't be as intact as it is now. Right. And we are yet to see the outcome of that meeting. Will it be the cabinet positions as reported by the Star? Will it be national unity? Will it just be campaigning for AUC? A lot is happening.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
So also a lot has been happening in the sports scene. That is on the back page of the Standard. Now, in case you missed this, yesterday, Cabinet Secretary of Sports, Kipchumba Murkomen, clarified that the CHAN is not going anywhere. CHAN is the African Football Confederation of African Football, and that whole competition, which Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania are co-hosting, is going to be happening starting February next year. So it's going to be some big news for Kenya. That is just a nutshell of what the stories in the Standard. The Daily Nation is quite heavy today. That means there are quite some interesting headlines there. The big one, Adani-linked SHA hospital system fails. The quota number there, 1 billion cash shillings is the amount the new partner is expected to be paid for the claims processing portal. So apparently, the Safaricom-led consortium has signed a 4th partner to provide a portal to process claims by private health facilities in a potentially costly deal crafted without taxpayers' knowledge after the original supplier of the software failed to deliver on time. Also say Soperio Limited, initially tasked with providing e-claims portal. It's a whole controversy. Anyway, there are quite a number of headlines there. Obviously that story, Kenyans run into trouble with the police in march against gender-based violence. And as George says, that's really wrong, really. These are people protesting against the violence of women, and yet they meet violence on the streets. On the right scroll, Putney from Golden Bag scandal to US gold scam watch list. Oh my goodness. The US and UK have planned sanctions on Kamlesh Putney and 27 other individuals and firms they believe have been running a gold smuggling and money laundering operation out of Zimbabwe. And this goes way, way back to so many years ago. During Mwai Kibaki's regime, Putney has been in this. So I don't think this is a shocker, really. Kamlesh Putney being involved in this whole US gold scam.
We did see that list. It was a whole document
Yes.
released by the U.S. Department of State that Kenyans can also go through. And then on the health crisis, I don't know if they've gone through it. SHA in $1 billion secret deal after
Yes.
system failure.
It is now the splash headline, yes.
Yeah, so following the failure of the health management system, another firm was brought in to plug the hole as the consortium worked on the one it had developed. And we have the CCS for Health, that is Deborah Barasa, during the launch of the new health system in Eldoret, to us in Gishu County. And we've got a doctor who is asking, why wasn't the contract with Savannah Informatics made public? This is a matter of public interest. Without Savannah, we wouldn't have a functioning system today, but Kenyans deserve to know the terms and costs involved. And the consortium members will offer each other technical support for some services. We've got a breakdown of what the task is and the consortium, and there are several companies that are making, Convergence Network Solutions is offering 3 million. No, actually 3. Yeah, this is 3,177,000. Actually, this is 3 billion. And then Apero Limited, Convergence Solution. There is also Safaricom PLC. Those, and then a consortium, and then there is a finance cost of that is not indicated.
Why?
These are the things that perhaps Kenyans just need to read for themselves and
Most
be able
definitely.
to understand what is happening as reported by the Daily Nation.
All right. On pages 12 and 13, before you cross over to Matters Cartoons and all that, quite a lot of activity happening on Matters Graduation. But then, key for us, when at Cape Media, going to be telling you all this. Equip Africa Institute. So they're having the third graduation ceremony taking place today at Kitale Center. And the headline says, Mount Kenya University will keep enhancing relevance of training at Equip Africa, as according to the Vice Chancellor there, Professor Joganyi. And on the right, Mount Kenya University Chair and Founder, Professor Simon Gisharu. They say Mount Kenya Affiliated Institute to start public health courses in response to market demand. So that is just a brief of what to expect from Mount Kenya University as well as Equip Africa Institute. I think those are just the nutshell of what is on the headlines. Take a look at, yes, now the cartoons that will be very, very symbolic on State of the Nation, and the guests will be analyzing this. So first off, this is Daily Nation.
This is Daily Nation.
Yes.
We can see, of course, the famous wheelbarrow. And we can see, is this a kingpin?
Self-anointed.
Self-anointed.
Yes.
It's funny how that crown isn't falling. But anywho, this, of course, we know who it could be, with the famous Godpapa. And then this is, of course, this could be Uhuru Kenyatta.
Yes.
And with his, of course, very interesting cap. And who is this?
These are two presidents
These
on
are
a
two
wheelbarrow.
presidents,
Yes.
wheelbarrow.
One former, one current. They're walking on this very tightrope.
On a
And actually, 4 gentlemen are trying to walk on this tightrope. These two have a very good access, and they're being carried. The other gentleman isn't lucky because where he is, he just might be left because there's a very thin strap that is remaining for this rope to break off. But then at the very cliff, there is a gentleman who is watching.
And observing.
Yes, and observing. Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka just observing and wondering, why was I left on this whole bandwagon of gentlemen walking on this tightrope?
Yes.
That is Daily Nation.
It's Daily Nation.
On the Star.
Star, what would my predecessor do to regain the mountain? You can see that is consultations after what was a very interesting 2 days ago, that picture. What would my predecessor do to regain the mountain?
Yes. And as you can see, overlooking there
Yes.
is actually the mountain.
The mountain.
Yes. So he has just arrived and amekuja consultations, as you say.
It is a very vote-rich region. And then, who is this? This is Gado?
Yeah. This is Gamzo.
Ganzo,
Yes.
yes.
This is actually now the standard.
The standard.
Yes.
So this must be Kalonzo Musyoka, Uhuru Kenyatta, William Ruto, and AUC, and it is IEBC shadow.
Yes.
They're sitting on the front of the IEBC shadow. Wait to see how all that plays out. And finally, last but not least, Patni, the preacher.
Yeah, this is People Daily.
Yes, People Daily, because of that expose and that announcement by the U.S. Department of State, that is Patni the preacher and half Patni the businessman with very dirty money over here, and then on the right hand holding the Bible.
Holding a Bible there. Right, ladies and gentlemen, finally, let's tell you how the traffic is looking like in case you're planning to be leaving the house right now or you're watching us on the road. We start off with Mombasa Road. As you can see, this is parts of Mlolongo. Mombasa Road heading into town. Actually, not much traffic all the way into Syokimau. There might just be a bottleneck here.
Yes.
Kama kawaida, all the way to Imara Daima.
Before the Panari Hotel,
Yes.
just after Imara, is where there could be a bottleneck on the main one, not on the expressway.
Yes. Now,
So if you can, hop onto the expressway.
somewhere else that you might just be getting quite the traffic, in case you're using Thika Road.
Yes.
This is Thika Road, and then also into Kiambu Road. Kiambu Road is free, but then you might be getting it after this roundabout at Muthaiga, getting into Nairobi, on both the upper side as well as the lower side. Imeanza kushikana right now. It's bumper to bumper. Ngong Road, how is it looking like this morning? Ngong Road is free. Some few patches of red. That must be the traffic lights. And finally at Waiyakiwe, extending all the way, if you're heading to Kabete, National Polytechnic, it also looks free as well. That is how the traffic is looking like this morning for you. The gentleman that you're going to be having this morning, just analyzing what we have been going through, the cartoons.
Yes.
First off, Professor Fred Ogola is in studio right now. Who else?
Yeah. Who else? We shall be having Gigi Kagombe, Member of Parliament, Gatundu South, as well as none other than Stephen Munania, Deputy Governor the County of Murang'a, to be able to analyze and look at matters state of the nation, where we have a lot to unpack regarding what has been happening, especially in the last 24 hours in the world of politics. You're watching Morning Cafe. My name is George Maringa. We are taking a short break. When we come back, we have State of the Nation, and later
on, we get into some music all the way from 8 a.m. until 10 a.m., making sure that umeanza day yako vizuri, starting off your midweek in a whole kind of new style.
Absolutely.
All the way until 8 a.m. tuonane hiyo wakati.
Kabisa.
Vile unavyojua watoto wengi sana hawana namna. Mimi ningependelea watoto wasome.
I'm here to stress on education. At the same time, let us actually do any kind of sport that we are doing. Sport speaks the best language to everybody.
Tunataka tutafute talents, zile raw talents kutoka kule nyumbani mashinani mahali tuko leo.
Hizi mbio za Chepsaita, like all other sports, zinaleta watu pamoja.
We want to use this event to uplift the lives of the community.
Anafurahia hii mchezo sana. Hata sikaange naambianga watu tuende Chepsaita.
Wanafunzi wakimbie ili wakuze talanta ya mbio ama kuhimiza tena elimu.
This is the place to be. Hapa ndipo mahali wanastahili kuwa tarehe 7. Wale watoto walikimbia last year, wamekimbia mpaka wamefuka mipaka zetu za Kenya.
Hey there, friends. Welcome to Kids on the Block, where fun and imagination come alive. We dive into magical world filled with exciting adventures and awesome friends.
What position were you in?
I was number 2.
What position were you?
Number 1.
He decided to cross the bridge by his house and look for food on the other side.
We're going to do half cup of chocolate chips, and the other one, we're going to do half cup of the blueberries.
So, grab your imagination hats and get ready to explore with us. Join us every Saturday at 9 a.m. for new friends, amazing stories, and tons of laughter.
Join us as we explore the journeys of those who defy the odds and break barriers. We dive deep into the stories of triumph.
Sometimes when parenting a child with a special need or whatever disability, family life becomes a bit complicated and you may end up raising the child on your own.
Here, we inspire.
I have a farm which one we showcase with other dyslexic youths and autism, how to farm.
Motivate.
It's never easy, but what we do, the best thing is to work with another parent who has an elder child than yours.
And break through the barriers one story at a time. Push your boundaries beyond the limit. Saturdays at 8 p.m. The Grind, where business meets brilliance. It's not just about the ideas.
I was working as a shampoo boy. I used to wash clients' hair on the sink.
It's about making them happen. From big wins.
In primary school, when we would be asked what people want to be, I was categorical that I want to be a nurse.
To hard lessons.
The consoles change, the gaming equipment keep changing.
We cover it all. Tune in to The Grind, where every episode is packed with insights.
The person who is serving customers, always be a customer-centric.
Strategies.
When you pay attention to detail, you get luxury items.
And stories to fuel your ambition. Don't just dream it, grind it. Mondays at 7:30 p.m.
Jiunge nasi tunapoangazia safari za viongozi bora.
It is exactly 39 minutes past 6 a.m. in Kenya's capital, Nairobi. Good morning and thank you for staying with us. You're watching The Morning Cafe. Time now for State of the Nation. My guests who are already here in the studio. To my immediate right is Stephen Munania, Deputy Governor of Murang'a County. Good morning, Mheshimiwa, welcome.
Good morning. Yes.
Thank
you for having me.
Absolutely. As well as Professor Fred Ogola, governance expert. Thank you for joining us, Prof. Good morning.
Morning, Judge.
Absolutely. And you can join us on the socials at TV47 News KE, at George Maringa _. Please use the hashtag Morning Cafe. And if you're going to chime in your feedback on YouTube, be sure to observe the community guidelines. The live chat is on. Let's get started with the... What do you feel like starting with today? Adani or Murima? I mean...
If you were to start with Mulima, I want to say good morning to the people of Murang'a County.
As always.
Because they are the ones who have given us the express mandate to serve them. And also to tell them that we are working hard to deliver on our promise. And as we begin today, as we look at the papers and as we look at the political landscape, we will be looking that into context with what our people are expecting on the ground. Because we are in a devolved system whereby there are some functions vested to the counties and others vested to the national government, and we do expect our conversations to go around that.
Okay.
Yes.
So let's look at this whole conversation on the Standard newspaper.
Yes, very interesting conversation.
Yes.
The Uhuruto, the Uhuruto handshake.
The Uhuruto handshake.
And I have to come from it in a perspective that our politics is a pragmatic politics. And that's why there is no need for divergent political animosity when it comes to our governance. Because ever since the also from the independence, we have had divergent ideas and divergent political opinions. And so from where I sit, there is no animosity when it comes to a political context. And that's why you have seen that administration after administration, since the time of the Mzee Jomo Kenyatta, the time for Daniel Arap Moi, from Kibaki to Uhuru Kenyatta, and now to Ruto. We have had a version of handshake and broad-based government on every administration. And so what is happening now is not new. What it does is to give us context on what the next cycle of political issues are going to be based on, what they are going to be surrounding on. I have seen on the standards we are expecting appointments in a few CS positions. We're expecting a few other issues, and all those things are going to be formed by this broad-based government perspective, whether it's informed by the Raila handshake or the Uhuru handshake. All these things are going to be formed around that. Yes. Let's
actually take a look at that story on Ruto, why I met with Uhuru, before we come back and, of course, speak the sentiments from Prof. Because according to the Standard, it says Uhuruto talks strategic move or sign of weakness. In Kenya Kwanza, that is that conversation, especially that story on page 6 of the Standard. Let's take a look at that story.
The ripple effects of President William Ruto's visit to his predecessor Uhuru Kenyatta's Ishaweri home have started to emerge, with reports suggesting the former president will have a footing in the Ruto-Odinga broad-based administration as dissent in the Mount Kenya region continues to ferment.
By the outcome of yesterday, if Gachagua will not even try to dare to go to look for Uhuru, for what? You have the people. What do you want to go from Uhuru? His money? No.
Uhuru's allies, led by Jubilee Party Secretary General Jeremiah Kioni, have dismissed claims the former president has been promised cabinet slots to assist President Ruto in running the government.
Whether he's going to second experts like ODM did, that's not his style. He believes, and that's why he has said he would like to see a vibrant opposition, because a vibrant opposition enables our democratic space to grow. We become better. But he doesn't believe in swallowing, in getting people into government in that manner.
Former DP Rigathi Gachagua's allies have been taken aback by Monday's meeting, terming it as an attempt by President Ruto to win back the Mount Kenya region and making an about turn on the former president whom Gachagua wanted to meet.
He's saying that consult me regularly does not mean that you have co-opted me into the government. No. Remember, he also consulted Lyra very many times there before when we had the Jubilee government. But he never crafted him into government. He never appointed them into government. But he was consulting the opposition so that he could get things done, including the BBI.
No single element of a diversion that will remove Murima from where the position they started today. And I want to tell my good friend Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, we respect you. Please retain your respect. Don't taint yourself at this point in time. And you know the bitterness from Murima. And nothing can be able to substitute the feeling of Murima with anything. As of now, William has already given back the position of deputy president to Murima. And nobody has any recognition of it. It is not felt.
According to Kenya Kwanza insiders, The former president has been reserved 4 cabinet slots, the vacant Interior Ministry, held by Musalia Mudavadi in an acting capacity. Other slots are Agriculture, Water, and ICT.
Tomorrow we know the meeting with you, between you and William, is purposely to give a perception that now you are the one who you would be determining to decide the destiny of Mlima, and one is that you are ready to be given a slot, and especially the very vacant one for Interior. And it's so that whoever Mount Kenya person will get it, it will be seen as if it's your hard and your effort to negotiate for such a position.
President Ruto's senior advisor on economic affairs, Moses Kuria, in a personal statement on X, hinted at the revival of BBI Season 2, saying it's time the country gets a new constitution to reflect on what he says are emerging realities. Kuria further revealed the grand plan in the Ruto-Uhuru Gatundu handshake, saying Mount Kenya deserves a strong political voice, and it was a mistake for the Mount Kenya region to leave the Jubilee Party, which he says is a party of the region. Apul Kamau, TV47.
Thank you, Apollo, for that. Prof, you've seen the conversations happening, of course, sentiments from Moses Kuria as well. Shall we see return of BBI Season 2? When do we expect to see perhaps the new CSs that are being said to join government? How broad will this broad-based government look like in your view?
Yeah, thank you very much, George. First of all, and let me also greet the people of Siaya, to say hi to Siaya people. But you see, the problem about me is that I'm a Coastarian, but also a Siarian. So sometimes difficult to say hi to, but let me talk to the point you raised here. Mainly, the broad-based government will only get broader. And to get broader, BBI gives you the opportunity to make it as broad as it can get. You even see now that Parliament will be controlled now, if you like, Raila Odinga, Uhuru Kenyatta, and Ruto. If they are together, they have owned over 98% of Parliament. So whatever they can pass in Parliament, they can pass. The only thing they'll have a problem is if they pass anything that is it goes beyond the limit of Parliament, which now needs the people's sovereign powers. So therefore, I can say that the broad government will only get broader and broader. But what is the issue at the moment? According to me, this thing called handshakes and coalitions, they are based on a point of weakness. And history tells us this. When Moi could not deliver to the nation, he had to do a handshake with Raila Odinga. Then, of course, again, when Kibaki went for an election in 2007, and he found out that he could not rule as PNU, he had to extend a hand to Kalonzo Musyoka. Then eventually again shake the hands of Raila Odinga. So it's always a point of weakness. Secondly, you come to Uhuru Kenyatta. When Uhuru Kenyatta could not run the country, he did a handshake, and then they came with the BBI with Raila Odinga. Now, William Ruto had preached for long how he can never shake hands. He said this severally. I think he has shaken more hands than anybody else. Because the person who said he cannot shake hands is now among all the presidents of Kenya, William Ruto has shaken more hands than any other, meaning he has had more points of weaknesses than any other person. He's had more weaknesses than any of his predecessors. And when I say points of weakness, what do I mean, George? If you cannot deliver to the people, then you handshake people are kingpins to try to hide your weakness. Like now, Mount Kenya people are not looking for a handshake with Uhuru. Mount Kenya people are looking for Nyamakimwa to work. They are looking for agriculture to work. They are looking for trade and business to work. They are looking for how Mount Kenya was designed actually to be able to feed Kenya. They are looking for Mount Kenya Road, the road which was designed to pass Naivasha, Nakuru, connect to Nyahururu, Nyandarua, all that, all the way to Kilimambogo, coming all the way to Kambani, and then connecting to Mombasa, connected to Nakuru, and feed the nation. But if they cannot be able to transport their thing, many people want their bananas to reach town so that the bananas can be bought. They are not looking for handshake. So if the president comes with the way on which
what do
the citizens...
people want? Go on.
Murang'a people had been a net exporter of food. Now they are a net importer of food.
And you see the conversation that I began about all this, the realities of our political landscape.
Yeah.
It only boils down to people what the people need at the grassroots level.
Yeah.
If the people are not going to receive, or the difference between whatever is being maneuvered is not being received at the ground, then you want to tell me that then the broad-based government has no value to Mwananchi. It definitely has no value to Mwananchi. Because then you have to tell me, do I go to the hospital and the system fails? Do I go to the KIPES and the KIPES are in service of me? Do I go to the housing and the housing are in service of me? That's what Mwananchi wants to understand. They want to understand what all this means to their daily lives.
Yeah. So what
because even when it comes to the banking sector, are the interest rates going up or down?
Yeah.
That's what is important to the business people. When we are talking about the taxation, are the taxation ensuring that I can import and export freely, or are they engaging, or are they ensuring that I don't get an opportunity to do that? That's the conversation Mwananchi wants to have.
Yeah, so George, what I was trying to say, thank you very much, my brother. I visited you in Murang'a and I saw you are doing a great job there. So basically, George, the point of weakness is SHA is not working, which means healthcare system is in shambles. Education system is shambles. Cost of living is very high. A cost of beginning a business, to start a business in Kenya is very high. Ease of doing business has fallen. We are only better than South or Sudan. Now, when the president addresses those issues, he doesn't need a handshake. And if he cannot address those issues, then he needs a handshake. It's like, for example, a man who cannot make one woman happy, then he continues with polygamy. There's no amount of marriages you can make outside there to cure the issues that you cannot make the woman at home happy. If you cannot make the single woman you have happy, it's impossible. William Ruto has to know that his wife is Kenya. It's not Uhuru Kenyatta. It has never been Raila Odinga. It's not Kalonzo Musyoka. It's not anybody. If you have married Kenya, treat Kenya well. You don't need a handshake with anybody. If you have the people, talk about people's power, and the sovereign power belongs to the people. If you can address the people issue, forget about these things of saying, oh, Luos are in government. Oh, now you see we are bringing Uhuru Kenyatta. Or I can see now even Uhuru's Kenyatta brother possibly coming to the cabinet. These are not the solutions to people. What is Uhuru's brother going to gain from cabinet? The salary of cabinet position is too minimal to the wealth of the Kenyatta family. So for me, these are when someone cannot address the people question, then they rush into handshake here, handshake there. And I want to tell Mr. President that Kenya suffers mostly from what's called lack of patriotism. When there's lack of patriotism, then people come out with the ways of saying, let us now be tribal. When there's no patriotism, tribalism becomes important. Because if I'm a patriotic Kenyan, then I don't have to think about someone as a Kikuyu, as a Kalenjin, as a Kamba, or even as a Somali. I just see Kenya because I'm patriotic to Kenya as a country. So lack of patriotism brings in tribalism. And with tribalism brings what? Corruption. And with this corruption now, you cannot serve government. And I want to tell Mr. President, as you make the government become more broader, the government expenditure goes up. When the government expenditures will have to go up, the important thing, you have to increase taxation. When you increase taxes, it means you have to borrow more now. So if you run a government that is extremely broad, it's expensive for Kenyans, they cannot bear it, therefore you have to tax them more and borrow more just to keep people who do not need to be in government to be in government. Mutahi Kegwe was a minister under Kibaki. Ndurithi Muthuri was a governor. Nelson Koech was, I don't know what, Karanja Kibicho was already in the government. Are there other Kenyans who can serve? Why are you bringing recycling people?
You can serve.
I can also serve, but I don't want to serve in this government for now. What I'm trying to say is that even bringing me is not important. Just use meritocracy to serve Kenyans so that the service delivery passports, IDs, the issues of health services, education. Now there's no there's no grade 9 classroom in the whole country. Instead of bringing these people to government, take that money and build the classroom. Kenyans will be with you. I'm telling you, Mr. President, when Kenyans are with you, no one can touch you. Why do you shake Raila Odinga's hand? Because there are Kenyans who love him. Why do you want to shake this Uhuru's hand? Because there are Kenyans who love Uhuru. Get the love directly by serving Kenyans. You will have actually hit the jugular vein.
I think the conversation that that I want to agree with my colleague here, Prof, is based on one simple factor. If you look at the political landscape in the past 1 year, it has definitely changed. Because I want to believe that Kenyans are very sensitive to their own needs more than their political needs. And when you look at what the Gen Z revolution did to this country, it wasn't a one-time thing that ended. Because what it actually underscored is that Kenyans are very keen on every legislation, on every regulation, on every policy passed by the national government and even the counties in terms of what it is intended to do and what is meant for them. And by actually looking at that, and you remember when we were having the Gen Z revolution and the president had to address the people, he said that we are going to see radical changes. We are going to see radical changes in government. But what we ended up seeing is the same script that has been from previous administration, from our general political context having to come into place. That is prerogative. But however, the Kenyans are still very keen to understand how all this affects them. And when you look at some of the issues, and maybe let's just speak out on one of the key issues that touches on the hearts of everybody, healthcare. What I want to look at healthcare is on the basis that healthcare is a devolved function. And what we have seen in the challenges that healthcare is receiving right now is because the national government keeps encroaching on the devolved function that is supposed to be undertaken by the counties. And why am I saying this? Because you want to, the number one story today is on the 1 billion, the billions of shillings system, IT system that was supposed to underwrite SHA, so that it can implement both the claims and also registration of citizens across. And the story here is that the portal is failing and that the people are not receiving their services. And right now we have over 1 billion shillings that are expected to be paid out and processed through the portal. But how can they be processed if the system has failed?
Absolutely.
The question that Mwananchi, when our Wanjiko looks at this, what they are thinking is that healthcare is not accessible. What they are looking at is that when they go to the hospital, that they cannot be able to they cannot be able to access healthcare. And this is the question: why is national government doing the work of the counties when the counties can be able to do this work? And the question I want to raise here is based on specific examples. When you have an IT system that does not have redundancies, the counties can be able to create those redundancies so that the system does not fail across the country. Because if you have a central system and that system is threatened in any manner, then it means that the entire country cannot access healthcare or cannot access their health insurance on any part of this country.
No.
But when we have systems that have redundancies based on the counties and the people who are providing those services, which is the county governments, then we have people who can receive, if the system fails in Nairobi, people can come to Machakos, they can come to Murang'a, they can go to Siaya, they can go to Mombasa, they can go to the neighboring institution if the system fails. But now we have a single system that fails across the board.
Across the board.
And this is why certain services are too critical to be left for politicization. Number one is healthcare. And I want to tell the people of Murang'a, because that's where I have an express mandate from them, that we are going to ensure that our system and our IT system that we have embedded for their healthcare is going to remain robust and have multiple areas of multiple areas so that the system does not fail.
Okay.
And when we realized this, because when we began our digitization process in Murang'a County, The system that we were using the afia.ke that was domiciled at the Ministry of Health. And we realized with the capacities that we were giving to that system, because we began with a system that now we are registering almost, right now we have registered people within our system, 160,000 people from Murang'a County who are members of Kang'ata Care. All those are people who are passing through the system. They are passing through the system from registration all the way to means testing, and these are people that we are paying for their healthcare access.
Okay.
If that's the case, then we will have to ensure that the system we have in Murang'a is not only robust, but it shouldn't keep failing again and again and again. And it's something that we have seen, that system failures are part of the ICT infrastructure. If we domicile it at one place, then it means that if the system fails, nobody can access healthcare. And this is the case nationally.
Okay.
And I think that's what the headlines here are saying today, that if the system is a national one, when it fails, then Kenyan's healthcare is in trouble.
Let's take a break. And I can see some comments here from YouTube. Jackson Mugwe, Prof has nailed it on the head. William is spinning a development issue into a political issue which cannot be a cure. And Samson Shege saying, watching from Murang'a County Kennel, and we are proud of HE Dr. Kang'ata and HE the DG Murang'a County. They are unique in their leadership.
Wow.
Thank you so much, and keep your feedback coming. We are due for a short commercial break. When we come back, the conversation on a State of the Nation continues with my guest here in studio. Please go ahead and chime your feedback on the socials through the channels that we've provided, and the WhatsApp number will also be on your screens shortly. We're back in a few minutes.
Vile unavyojua watoto wengi sana hawana namna. Mimi ningependelea watoto wasome.
I'm here to stress on education. At the same time, let us actually do any kind of sport that we are doing. Sport speaks the best language to everybody.
Tunataka tutafute talents. Zile raw talents kutoka kule nyumbani mashinani mahali tuko leo.
Hizi mbio za Chepsaita, like all other sports, zinaleta watu pamoja.
We want to use this event to uplift the lives of the community.
Anafurahia hii mchezo sana. Hata sikaange naambianga watu tuende Chepsaita.
Wanafunzi wakimbie ili wakuze talanta ya mbio ama kuhimiza tena elimu.
This is the place to be. Hapa ndipo mahali wanastahili kuwa tarehe 7. Wale watoto walikimbia last year, wamekimbia mpaka wamefuka mipaka zetu za Kenya.
Hey there, friends. Welcome to Kids on the Block, where fun and imagination come alive. We dive into magical world filled with exciting adventures and awesome friends.
What position were you in? I was number 2.
What position were you?
Number 1.
He decided to cross the bridge by his house and look for food on the other side.
We're going to do half cup of chocolate chips, and the other one, we're going to do half cup of the blueberries.
So, grab your imagination hats and get ready to explore with us. Join us every Saturday at 9 a.m. for new friends, amazing stories, and tons of laughter.
Join us as we explore the journey.
Welcome back. You're watching Morning Cafe, State of the Nation, with my guest here in studio, Deputy Governor for Murang'a County, Stephen Munania, as well as Professor Fred Ogola. Prof, I'll come to you perhaps so that we wind up on this conversation on Mount Kenya and the handshakes and what we saw 2 days ago. Ideally, now that, we cannot ignore the fact that Uhuru Kenyatta is back in the picture. How would then he proceed? How would President Ruto then need to proceed? Whereas you've talked about development and all. Fine, are we already here? Of course, nothing happens by chance in politics. It is all planned. Nothing happens by coincidence. Moving forward, do we expect to see the, Uhuru's allies into government, and what would that mean in both the short term and the long term, and what would be the proper way of doing things with Uhuru's entry now into this politics?
Yeah, first of all, let me just highlight the significance of Ishaweri. Remember that President Ruto is Uhuru's neighbor, because Uhuru's official residence is just neighboring. They could actually just meet across the fence. But why did they decide to make it to be inside the mountain? So this is significant. The meeting took place in Shaweri. They could have met here, even has a residence in Karen. Or even the best place for Nyamachonga is Kajiado, his house in Kajiado. So this happens in Mount Kenya, and this is to send a message clearly that the mountain that looked so slippery for William Ruto should now be brought back to William Ruto to stand. But remember, the church is a key platform for mobilization, and the church actually has left William Ruto. So if the church left William Ruto, can Uhuru Kenyatta bring the church? No, Uhuru Kenyatta is not a bishop. Uhuru Kenyatta is a politician. So even Uhuru Kenyatta's religious influence, because he's a Catholic, the father was a Catholic, they have donated so much land to the Catholic Church, even to build hospital. I was a chair of the board of the St. Francis Community Hospital, and the way the hospital is built was given by Uhuru's mother. So the Uhuru has had a lot of influence with the church. Now, when bishops are watching these two people meeting, do you think they have the same feeling to Uhuru Kenyatta when they were in Embu than now? So you might find that these leaders themselves, in as much as you think they're bringing significance, they could be driving themselves into oblivion, because then people are not with William Ruto. When you meet William Ruto and shake hands, how much do they like you? Like now, if Fred Ogola was to meet William Ruto and agree on anything, everything I've been saying becomes useless. And my followers will think I'm a betrayer. And for me, by nature, I cannot betray my people. My followers will walk with you up to where we are going. Where we are going, you know better. You don't even know where we are going, but you, my followers, know where we are going. So me, I'll walk with you until where we are going. Everything will be consulted. You saw now.
Canaan.
Whom did Uhuruto consult before going there? Did Uhuru consult his base before having this meeting? Did Ruto consult his base for this meeting? So if they didn't consult, you will see the MP for, is it Embakasi what? Gakuya. Very bitter. And he has been a strong supporter of Ruto. So some of that meeting is not just about addition. There's also subtraction. Some people who liked Ruto alone and Uhuru alone will not now like Uhuru and Ruto together. Now when Raila Odinga also comes in together, I'm seeing here that this polls arithmetic for Kalonzo Musyoka and Gachagua. Let me tell you what, my brother. As far as I'm concerned, Kenyans are wise. I was among the leaders of Gen Z. Let me reveal here. I was the strategist behind it. Mark my words, I can explain to you so many things we did. But let me tell you, the Gen Z
I thought they were leaderless.
No. The leaderless was not that it was used so that you don't manipulate us using one person. But how can you organize that still demonstration without leadership? George, do you know how people entered parliament? Do you know I draw the strategy for entering parliament?
Did you?
It is.
This is a very interesting revelation.
I can explain it to you after this. Later on, I can explain to you. But it was a very simple strategy.
Okay.
I want to talk about what the Gen Z believe. As the Gen Z, we know Kenya is into two tribes. The first tribe are those who steal from us. When we deny, they lie to us. When we refuse being lied to, they kill us, just like how they are beat protesters of femicide. So those are one tribe. Now, Ruto has been there, isn't it, in that tribe. Now, they say Raila joined him. Now Uhuru has joined him, isn't it? So anybody joining that tribe, not tribe. The second tribe is those of us wale ambao wanaoibiwa. Tunaibiwa. Adani iko hapa, sivyo. Everything is being stolen. Land, you talk about corruption, 7.2 trillion shillings taken with no account for it, isn't it? So sisi ambao wanaotuibia ni the second tribe. Now, the tribe of wale ambao wanaotuibia ni wachache. So they can shake hands the way they want. But for us, we are waiting for them in the ballot. That come the ballot, we shall elect one of us. And one of us, so that we reject all of them. All of them are those stealing from us. So anyone from them, whether you are Gachagua, whether you are Kalonzo, whether you are Ruto, whether you are Uhuru, whether you are Raila, we'll just be checking, are you stealing from us? Are you lying to us? Are you killing us when we refuse to be treated this way? So if you belong to that club, no matter how many handshakes you make, you are going home. And the people who are standing for the patriotism against corruption, integrity, because let me tell you, George, the main problem is accountability, where Ruto is trying to run away from. Have you heard the narrative he has begun saying? Mnataka tuungane pamoja? No. The issue, Kenyans are not divided. Kenyans want food, isn't it? Kenyans want education. Kenyans want healthcare. Kenyans want accountability for the taxes being collected. We are not divided. And on those matters, all Kenyans are united. If you look about the Gen Z uprising, statistics shows that 85% of Kenyans were siding with the Gen Z uprising. And their work was just leadership, integrity, accountability, and government services. So long as you are not doing those things, shake hands the way you want. You will even go and shake the hands of Trump. We don't care. So long as that you are not delivering those matters, we are not with you. And we are going to elect one of us who feel what we are telling you. Because we are telling you, I'm still repeating these matters. You are not listening. If you don't follow that thing, we are not with you. And we shall elect one of us. The day you cross over from wale ambao wanaotuibia, wanaotuua, alafu wanaotudanganya, and cross over to one of us, you are not going to be elected. And that, let me tell you, 18 million voters. Where will you get 18 million votes to overturn this thing? That's the largest constituency in Kenya, and it's called Gen Z vote. And the Gen Z vote, I'm hearing people saying, oh, they are not they're registered, they didn't just vote. Now they are going to vote.
No, they're going
and
to vote.
Actually, we are going to push for the mobilization so that the register, I've told people, don't go to the street anymore now to make a lot of noise. Let us just organize, let us register to become voters, and let us go to vote without being mobilized. And if we do that, any vote cast from that 18 vote is a vote against the current establishment. And that vote is so powerful, George. So according to me, William Ruto should come and talk to Kenyans and tell them how SHA is going to work, how the CBC is working, how are kids going to go to grade 9 when there's no classroom, how are Kenyans going to hospital and get treated, and then most importantly, what are we going to do about corruption? Because this, for me, is the biggest thing.
Is the biggest thing.
Tribal mobilization of the kingpins is a politics of the past. Uhuru tried to bring Mount Kenya to Raila. It never worked. And I can tell Uhuru Kenyatta again, should you try to bring Mount Kenya, I'm not from Mount Kenya, but I have friends and relatives from Mount Kenya.
You know,
should you try to bring Mount Kenya to William Ruto, then again you'll get the big shame, because Mount Kenya forgave him for what he did previously, isn't it? This forgiveness is not eternal.
You know,
it can be withdrawn.
You know, I'm sending to Prof here.
Yeah.
And the conversation is shaping up as Mount Kenya being this very beautiful girl who is very beautiful politically, very seductive politically. And when this beautiful girl is looking for a husband, then you have to wonder whether the beauty is because of what it represents, or is it going to get a husband just to make, because also see from the older days, marriages used to be this relationship between one nation and another to make what are called bilateral bilateral family arrangements to increase the wealth of the family. Is this girl going to marry because of love or because of bilateral arrangements? That's the situation where when listening to Professor, I'm looking at Mount Kenya as that girl. That girl has to make a decision whether he wants to marry for love or wants to or wants to marry on bilateral trade agreements for the purpose of. Anyway.
And the girl in Mount Kenya has been very pragmatic.
And that's the conversation because, and this is what I'm talking about the political landscape of our country.
Okay.
At the end of the day, the number one thing that we have to have a conversation around is that what does Wanjiku wants to happen on the ground? Because regardless of whatever political maneuvering happens at the national level, the international level, the regional level, and whatever else, what influence does it have at the local level? Because remember, the legitimacy of a governance structure or a government and the legitimacy of any leader is developed by the trust that they hold with the people. And that trust, from where I sit, do you have the capability of keeping your promise? Ability of keeping your promise. If you tell the people that you are keeping your promise, have you kept it? What did you promise the people to begin with? Let's go back. Let's go back to when you promised the people, when you went to seek this marriage with the people, when you went to seek these girls from Nyanza, from Coast, from from Kericho, from the Rift Valley, from Eastern, from South Rift, from the Northeastern, from Mount Kenya. What did you tell the girl? And this is very true even in our marriages. What did you tell the girl? And can you keep those if you don't keep those promises, I'm telling you, your legitimacy as a husband, as a leader, and as anybody in that context start to dwindle. Because then they are looking at you and then they are seeing, you promised that here it's where we are going to go to honeymoon. We did not go there. You promised this is when we are going to build a house. This is the type of, we haven't built it. You promised that we are going to have 5 children. We only have 2. You promised we are going to take them to this school. We are not taking them to this school. You promised we are going to do this to our parents. We haven't done it. And that's the context of 190. They are looking very keenly and then asking themselves, what did the president promise? What did the member of parliament promise? What did the governor promise? What did the member of county assembly promise? If we fail to provide to those promises, I'm telling you, whether we handshake even God himself, whether we go and look at whoever we are going to take, if we are not going to keep those promises, our legitimacy in the eyes of the people is not going to be anywhere. So, and I want to agree with Prof on that account. That's why in my office I have this plaque. I have this plaque. I want to reveal that because it seems today we are revealing
what else will be revealed?
There is this plaque that we keep. Even my governor has that plaque about the 4 promises we made to the people of Murang'a. And in every cabinet meeting, we remind ourselves, what did this promise that we did make to the people? And we evaluate to what percentage have we made those promises. For example, number 1, we promised people Kangata care. Every single time when we are reviewing, where are we here? Right now, yesterday we were doing recruitment of Kangata care. We recruited 20,000 people. That means now we have covered three trenches of coverage. Now we have 60,000 households in Kangata care. That's progress. We haven't done 100%. But having 20,000 in the first term, 20,000 in the second term, and 20,000 in the third phase, we are somewhere. The second promise we made about school feeding program. Did we give our people uji? 42,000 children of ECD, are they drinking uji on a daily basis? The third promise, it's written in that plaque. It was about the community project, what we call the Ward Fund. To what percentage have we done? We began with 10% of our development budget. Right now we are at 35% of our development budget, which means how many ECDs have we constructed? How many health centers and dispensaries have we constructed? So far we keep keeping track. Right now we are at 350 ECD centers. and we are up to 24 health centers and dispensaries. The third promise, what did we promise? We promised about agriculture, about minimum guaranteed returns. What value chains have we brought in to guarantee that? Okay. We have milk, we have mango, we have a sorghum, and now we are going to avocado. When we do that, and I was talking about that plaque that is in my office about the promise we did make to the people of Murang'a. It's not that when that comment was made by that gentleman from Keno, that they are looking towards the unique leadership we are providing in Murang'a. We are not doing anything unique or anything that is super genius from everybody else. All we have done is remind ourselves that we made very specific promises to these people. To what degree have we done this? Because remember, when you look at SHA, and let's use because it's the headline today, and I want to see this. I want to praise, first of all, the president for his vision in terms of what SHA is supposed to be doing about the universal health coverage. Because remember, there are millions of Kenyans every day who go bankrupt in this country because they cannot access health care. Right now, go to every village in this country. People are doing harambees for the purpose of taking people to hospitals, for the purpose of a disease. Not only even the person who is at the bottom of the economic food chain, but even people who are well off, because the health bills are too high, and the insurance that we do have are not covering a majority of those bills. So when you talk about universal health coverage when it comes to SHA, or what is being called Taifa Care as we speak, it has rebranded to Taifa Care. When you look at all these things, then it's a very good vision for the people of this country. And the challenge that I am challenging the people who are implementing this, because when the president gives a policy, he has done his bit. He has pushed through this parliament, and now it's a regulation and a law. What is remaining right now is the implementation of this policy so that we can have equal access to healthcare across the country. And this is the challenge that we are having. How do we implement this? Because you cannot tell me that we are looking towards the people, and the number one thing that is supposed to take care of the people is the registration of these people at the grassroots level. Because remember, the primary care health network is taken care of by dispensaries and health centers. And also, the people who we are calling the community health promoters at the grassroots level, who are supposed to lead towards registration of these people. The financing that is supposed to get to the health centers and the dispensaries is about capitation. And that capitation is based upon the people who register in that health center. If the government has no adequate financing to ensure that people are registered at the dispensaries and health center levels, when is that dispensary going to receive its finances if it has no people who have registered them? When is that health center going to get certain equipment so that it can function properly? How does that health center get the drugs so that it can dispense to the people? And these are the questions that are legitimate. They are not questions of politicization. They are not questions about these. What are the terms of registration that we have done? That's why when it comes to my specific implementation as a devolved function, when it comes to that, we have, in Murang'a, we have taken key steps to ensure registration, to ensure that people are registered in their healthcare, primary care networks. And so far, we have over 200,000 who we have registered under Kangata Care, and even other means so that they can get to that healthcare within the various areas. Go to the next level, which is now the SHIF, which is at the level 4 and the level 5. The Social Health Insurance Fund. The Social Health Insurance Fund now takes care of certain diseases. Go to the next level, which is Emergency Care and Chronic Illnesses Fund. When you talk about all those things, their implementation and the information that is supposed to get to the people is supposed to be very clear. So that we have a step-by-step, know where we are, what we are supposed to be doing, and the right agencies are engaged. If you leave the counties out of the decision-making, and they are the implementers and providers of these healthcare services at this level, I'm telling you, then we are in for a rude shock that the system is failing.
Charles Amanga saying, watching from Kitale, Tanzania. Thank you, Charles. Boyd Basite saying, I believe President Ruto is trying his best under an extremely difficult fiscal environment. However, he must ditch the public rallies and sit down and work. He should leave those to CSs and PSs. Do you agree?
Trying very hard as he can, that one don't agree, but also the advice is right.
Okay.
You see, I've been telling the president that the way you run government as a governance expert, and let me just highlight my experience here. When I was an economist with the European Central Bank, I was sent to help the turnaround of Portugal, Italy, Greece, and Spain, the so-called pigs. And we came up with a structure. When I was Kibaki's economic advisor, we came up with a structure to run a government. And the structure was simple. Executive order from the president, stop there. Ministers come with the ministerial policy. It's called EMDA. E for executive order from the president, ministerial policy from the ministers. Like now, when the president said, I want universal health coverage, that's an executive order. Now, the Minister for Health needs to come up with what? A ministerial policy on how to execute it. Then there are also different state departments run by the PSS under the Minister of Health to come with a departmental execution framework of the ministerial policy. Then after there are agencies within, for example, SHA, SHIF, those are agencies within healthcare. Now they come with execution on how to execute so that you are the head of state. Why are you speaking like the CEO of SHA and SHIF? You don't have to keep a dog and then you bark on behalf of your dogs. Let the dogs bark, you own the dogs. So here we are finding the president in all press statements. And I want to say this. I have done my research, and the economists were very good at numbers, isn't it? The president so far has made 186 press briefs within these years he has been president. 186 because I've seen that he does an average of 1.5 per week press briefs. So that translates to 186 press briefs in a year. In the 2 years he's been president, isn't it? Uhuru Kenyatta in 10 years did 104 press briefs in 10 years. Mwai Kibaki did 49 press briefs. Unfortunately, one of them was simply to say, I only have one wife. The point I'm trying to draw here is that we believe briefing us on where SHA is, briefing us on how the economy is performing. You don't need to brief us. When God sends rain to us, God has never called for a press conference to tell us, Kenyans, I've sent you rainfall, isn't it?
We could argue God is not human.
I remember there is a bishop over the weekend who stated that if you have done something and then you take the next 1 hour explaining what you have done, then it seems you haven't done it.
Yeah, so what I'm trying to say here, George, in short, why do you do a press statement to tell us the economy performing well when that Kenyan in Kitale or Trans Nzoia, or Murang'a, or Malindi, Kilifi County, Kwale, in say, I cannot see it. When the economy performing well, they will tell you. We will tell you. Like for example, when floods are raging in the country, we tell you. Serikali tusaidie, sivyo? When there's a lot of drought, we tell you. When kids are perform well, they celebrate. When the Kenyans will get employment, we won't have to tell them. In fact, you'll be reporting high taxes from income-driven taxes. We don't have to be told the economy is performing well. Now you're telling us the economy is performing well. Now World Bank says it's warning Kenyans against the debt. We are being told Kenya is paying debt, while World Bank is saying we are not paying debt. So who is telling the truth? So the truth, you don't need to call a press conference to tell us. In fact, the president should limit the number of press statements he's making. He should get out of being on top of the car. And we want to see a president in the office, signing a document, at least doing some work, meeting people who are bringing development. When you meet, when I was academic director in Strathmore, we told the dean, when I came, the dean used to teach. I told him, excuse me, get out of the classroom, you are my boss. I cannot supervise you. I'm an academic director. Get out of the place, go play golf. Go play with the CEO who can bring funding to the university. Go and play with corporate leaders who can be able to invest. Like now, I'm a deputy vice chancellor in Uzima University. I've been having very candid talks with my boss, that is the VC. And I told Bwana VC, I want to see you networking with the cream de la cream of the corporate world. The work you're doing in the office, let me take over some of them, give them to me. I'm going to be your servant. Like for you as deputy DG, allow your governor to network for you. You execute, run the team, run the show, but let the governor meet the right people, get the right partners. Let him meet World Bank, let him meet with the USSD, let him meet the UK Aid. As he meets those people, he throws them to you. He takes them through pass. In Spain, when I used to watch football, there's a cross called La Pelota. La Pelota is a cross that when it comes, it must go in. You see those crosses that Ronaldo jumps and heads in. So the governor should be sending you those crosses, you head in. But now, if no one is, you are going to meet Uhuru Kenyatta. Uhuru Kenyatta is not going to bring funding to the economy, isn't it? You are meeting people who cannot advise on security. He wants political interest. So we are saying, stop these unnecessary visits, handshakes, stop unnecessary top of the car. You are turning Kisumu and telling the people of Kisumu who are hungry in Kondele that, you know what, nitaleta kazi. And the people of Kisumu in Kondele, they tell me they're not happy. Go and do what matters. Let's see results. You saw during Kibaki's time, it was to hear there's a press brief coming from State House, all Kenyans will sit and say, what is the president going to say? Because it was not very usual. Here, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter anything telling us that there's a media invite in State House. Because people know either there'll be lies, isn't it? Or at least there's nothing to say.
Let's move.
What I'm trying to say, honestly, I'm trying to advise the president because we want him to succeed. By the way, George, listen to me carefully. I'm not an activist. I'm a leader. Leadership gives direction. I want to tell the president that we don't hate you. In fact, the people you run to, those are your enemies. The ones talking to you on TV like us are the ones who love you. Do you know, George, if the president fails, I own a business, I own a school, isn't it? I run a university. If he fails, the university where I'm working fails. There's no way I can pretend to succeed while the president fails. That's why the success of the president is important to TV47, is important to Murang'a County, is important to me in Uzima, is important to any Kenyan. There's somebody dying of hunger. Now I see some people saying, let him fail so that people can know he cannot be the next president so that can be elected. Those people are hypocrites. Because why should some Kenyan die of hunger today? Because let me tell you, the one dying of hunger is dying now. The kid who is not going to school is missing out in his future today. The one in hospital now that cannot get Panadol, cannot get a painkiller, cannot get arthritis medicine, cannot get diabetic, cannot get dialysis, they are dying now. They are not await for you, George, to become president, then you help, they'll be dead. So, Mr. President, you must succeed now. So, why we are calling on you is that stop talking to the wrong people, because you told us the problem you inherited came from Uhuru Kenyatta, isn't it? Now then Uhuru Kenyatta cannot help you solve the problem. We are told that you cannot solve a problem using the same tools that created the problem. Gachagua and yourself said on the day of inauguration, you have inherited a dilapidated economy. You are paying debts which was borrowed by Uhuru Kenyatta. So which advice is he giving you? On how to borrow more, isn't it? Is he advising you how to give us a dilapidated economy? As far as I'm concerned, President Uhuru Kenyatta did a good job in the economy. You said he didn't do a good job. Now you said you are taking over to do the right thing. Why are you going to consult people whom you believed were failures? And I want you to ask yourself, sit down, have a meeting, just have a retreat with yourself for a day and ask yourself, those people surrounding you, giving you advice, what have they achieved that they could advise you on? Raila Odinga has advised you. What has he achieved? But for me, what I want to say is that it's the only thing I support Mr. President for. The single decision to send Raila to AU has made Kenya look much better. Kenya is being discussed all over. That was a stroke of genius. But on this matter, my brother DG, let us be advisors who are advising on how to fix the situation.
Great. Let's move to the other conversation.
And if the situation is fixed, then everything else will be stable for all Kenyans.
Okay, let's move to the conversation on CJ Koome. Of course, she leads the third arm of government, and she has downplayed online criticism. We'll take a look at that story as the director gets it. But I want us to combine it with this whole story of attacks on women and killing of girls and women as protesters demanded yesterday. But let's listen in to that report about the CJ.
Speaking at the 2024 Annual Human Rights Summit, Chief Justice Martha Koome said that she had been a victim of cyberbullying and online gender-based violence, with multiple social media posts aimed at threatening her tenure and pushing her resignation.
I always confess that I'm a victim of cyberbullying, or is it called technologically facilitated gender-based violence.
Despite the attacks, the Chief Justice says that she is remaining firm, stating that such intimidation tactics would not deter her from addressing the pressing issues facing Kenya's judiciary.
To achieve what? Maybe to scare me, to distract me, to defame me, and hold me out of office, but they can try something else.
Koome used the platform to also shed light on the judiciary's effort to combat gender-based violence across the country. The Chief Justice highlighting establishments of 13 specialized courts dedicated to addressing cases of gender-based violence.
What happened to the victim? We are asking ourselves that question. And it is for that reason that we have opened 13 specialized courts, gender justice courts.
Koome's remarks comes amidst growing scrutiny of public figures on social media. Anastasia Mkabi, TV47.
Thank you, Anastasia. Gentlemen, when we look at that, attack on the CJ, and then we look at these headlines on both the Standard and the Daily Nation on the women, where are we heading as a country? I mean, why is it so difficult for these attacks not to stop? In fact, they are soaring. And I'll begin with you, DG.
I think, let me begin by the good English saying of justice that states that justice must not only be done, but it also must seem to be done. That's where the Kenyan people are. Remember, we are in an increasingly media coverage all the time. I do believe that the country is a little bit much safer right now than it was maybe 100 years ago. However, we currently have more media presence than there was 100 years ago. So we document more of cases of violence more than it was documented 100 years ago. Okay. So in some perspective, it might seem that we are in a more violent country more than it was 100 years ago. However, that said, we must also recognize that security of any individual, when I'm looking at the issues of gender-based violence and the case of femicide, security of any individual is based on how you feel in a certain place. It's not only about the security, whether they are police officers or not, but how do you feel that whether this place is safe or not? If you feel that the place that you are is not safe, then you are not secure in that place, despite of their having police officers and so forth. So what you are seeing on social media and people criticizing the CJ right now is based on the perspective that wherever Kenyans are, they might not be seeing the justice that they wish to see from the judiciary. And my criticism is not towards the judiciary, but rather to recognize the challenge that we have. Because the challenge that we do have as we speak is the issue of what do we see the judiciary doing. Because to some extent, the Kenyan in social media are arguing that the judiciary is rubber stamping whatever the executive is doing, instead of being an independent third arm of the government in providing the justice for Kenyans. That's the opinion of certain section in social media. Another section is about the CJ and the perceived responsibility to ensure, to keep the executive in check on certain institutions, let's say the IBC, let's say, or other institutions, to keep them in check, so that they are also able to provide the correct security and the judicial processes within the country. But looking at our headlines on the issues of GBV and the demonstrations that were there, and our response to those things. If I am a demonstrator, I am demonstrating not for the purpose of causing chaos, but I am demonstrating to be in consolidation with other Kenyans and other victims of gender-based violence to highlight this issue so that it can be addressed. To see these demonstrations and also picketers and people who just need their voice to be heard being harassed with tear gas, being harassed with beatings from our National Police Service, then Kenyans go on the other hand and ask themselves, are these the same police who we expect to provide security for our people on the issue of gender-based violence, femicide, burglary, and the rest? Because if we speak out, then we are beaten with tear gas. If we speak out on any level, we are beaten by the police. If we go and express this opinion that this is not happening, then we are beaten by the... And this is the question about our measured and our ability to measure our reactions towards our demonstrators. I would want to seek from the National Police Service that the demonstrators are not a threat towards the democracy of this country. They are not a threat to the administration, and they are not a threat to the economy. What they want is to create the space for independent voices of Kenyans to be heard across. So whenever we have demonstration, let us keep it in terms of managing the event, managing the demonstration in providing peace. If we do provide peace for these individuals, there's not going to be burglary, there's not going to be violence, there's not going to be... But if every other time you stand with a placard on the street, then you are beaten with tear gas, then you are still a person. Mtu ataumia. And then when you feel beaten, you react. But we have to train our National Police Service to be peace officers in the street whenever we are having demonstration. And I believe some of that criticism that we are seeing on social media and that is in the front pages, whether to the CJ, to the National Police Service, is based on the sentiments that the Kenyan people want their voices to be heard. Because remember, when do Wanjiku in the villages, who is feeling insecure, who maybe saw their daughter killed, who maybe have heard a member of their community has died, who maybe have heard, how do they express this feeling of insecurity towards, and let the president know that tunaumia? Because you remember, you remember when we have, let's say, issues of national emergencies, let's call maybe floods, we have hunger. You find people on the media saying, serikali's idea, because Kenyans are in pain and they are suffering. It's the same case with gender-based violence. These Kenyans are coming up and are telling the government, please help. Our girls are dying. Please help. Our women are being violated. Please help. The family unit is collapsing in violence. If our response is to beat those people to a pulp, is our response is to silence those voices, then the democracy of our country is going to suffer. And what you are seeing here, and I want to agree that Kenyans are very peaceful people. In the most part, Kenyans are very peaceful people. And I want to refer to the Gen Z revolution when the anti-finance bill started, demonstration started.
Yes.
The first 3 days, people were had a very good decorum. They were moving all the way from Thika to the CBD. They were moving all the way from Athi River to CBD. People were moving all the way from Kikuyu to CBD. People were moving all the way from Gong to CBD, walking. They never stoned any car. They never looted any shop. But when we had a government response towards people walking to CBD, what happened? After 5 days, it was chaos. You couldn't move an inch. You couldn't even feel that you could come and go about your business. What is our response to us demonstrators? Because whether anybody is acting up against something that they feel, and I have to say, even as in leadership, we must be very keen to the voices of the people. Because the voices of the people are not a threat to our administration. The voices of the people are a sign of telling the government there is something that is not going right.
Okay.
Change this.
Change this. Prof?
So first of all,
we move to the economy now.
Yeah, first of all, let me say that Martha Koome is sending to the women the opposite signal, because she was supposed to be the one defending women. You know, when we had a CJ who's a woman, we should be seeing even women praising her rather than now even saying now they're attacking her using cyber. I think that's misplaced. She should listen to the women. She represents the voice of women. She's not just there as just a CJ, but she's a female CJ. She knows the women issues. I actually tell people the value of a woman, even in the boardroom, is much, much understood, because as a CJ, when there's violence, she knows how violence affects women much more than men. So she should be there. So I'm thinking that the women are simply telling her, we are disappointed. So Martha Koome is a disappointment to women. That's why they're attacking her, because it's rare that they would do that. They celebrated when she became a CJ, and she has gone to the list of people who have disappointed Kenyan as women. Nancy Baraza went and pinched the nose of another woman as a security, a woman who was a security guard. Why should another woman in that high position pinch a nose of another woman who is just a security guard? So Martha Koome could be contributing to the very least of the women who have disappointed fellow women in leadership. So then secondly, my point is that the uproar against the government regarding the femicide is more self-inflicted. You know, sometimes you might think you are doing A for your good, but actually you're doing it for your wrong.
For your own.
I was in Kware. When the bodies in Kware were being removed, I saw one sack having, 10 legs. How do you treat people like chicken like that? And then what the narrative came in that there's a man who was committing femicide against women. Yet we know very well this was a state operation. Now, by the state having done what they did in Kware, it brought the issue of gender femicide to the fore. Then now the narrative becomes stronger, because you can mention the women who are being killed. And the state was the one reporting how many women were dying in this gender-based violence than others. And it's very clear that this actually is creating a lot of issues. The other thing is that you have to understand, the third point I have is you have to understand that women suffer most during economic, health, and education crisis. Now, whenever there's a population being displaced, women suffered because women cared about the children. They're the ones actually who are preparing food. When the economy is not doing very well, when you go to the woman's headquarters, it's under attack. You go to the kitchen, you can't, there's no sugar, there's no unga, and you're a woman, isn't it? The man, of course, will sit in the sitting with newspaper, but the woman's headquarters is under attack. I don't mean women must work in the kitchen, but I'm saying that women are called dual career. Women do dual career because they are actually the one in charge of homekeeping. At the same time, they have to do a career outside there. So they feel mostly affected. And because they had to raise their voices, now they were being fought and the voices were being suppressed. And then, of course, I told you, during an economic meltdown, normally women feel it because men are becoming weak. Because see, if you're a man and the economy is not doing very well, all the promises you make to your wife, they're not coming by. So you become weak, you give promises, and they're just lies. Because if your boss is lying to you, you also lie to your wife, isn't it? And because now you are cascading the lie, then marriage becomes under attack. So there are so many marriages suffering. Let me tell you what, most men won't tell you, George. As men, we are suffering. Women are not seeing us be useful. Because you used to throw money around, you can't throw that money around. There are so many marriages that are breaking, isn't it? I don't want to say mine, but even our mine is under attack also, because when the economy is under attack, all men marriages is under attack. Mine is seriously under attack. I don't want to mention in further, but it's under attack because the economy is suffering. And that also goes with the fact that when this is under attack, men are being auctioned. Imagine you are sitting in the sitting room, You promise your wife a holiday for Christmas and you receive a message for auctioneers. Then the woman is telling you, I want you to take me for holiday. You know, sometimes you can even turn violent. So what I'm trying to say, these are reality also that the economic situation is contributing to this femicide discussion. And my last point is this. President William Ruto has become an object of blame. So anything not working, people say Ruto. Unfortunately, it becomes a scapegoat. For the president, actually, it has become a scapegoat. Now, anything not working, you say that is William Ruto. Like now, if you cannot feed your wife, you say William Ruto has made the economy so bad, you cannot eat well. So you are seeing now a lot of people, if you do a survey, how many people blame femicide on the president? You'll see something 60-70% people blaming him. Because men are giving excuse by saying that, you know what, President nifukuza kazi. Like for me, I was a professor in Strathmore. I was earning well. I lived well. I promised my wife everything that I was satisfying. Now, after I was fired from Strathmore, 2 years down the line without a job, I can't keep all my promises. So when I'm being lied to, the economy will do well, I'm also lying and saying we shall recover.
But you landed a VC position.
No, but now this is now the beginning of recovery.
Oh, okay.
By the way, George, let me reveal that tomorrow, during the Elite Brands Award ceremony taking place at Agile Hotel, I'm being given, I've been nominated. So I don't know which one I'll be. I'm being nominated as the greatest comeback corporate leader.
Oh, okay.
I've had 5 comebacks.
5 comebacks.
So this is the 5th one.
The 5th one.
I'm waiting for the 6th one.
Oh, okay.
So what I'm telling you, General, is that people are suffering and they are trying to blame the president, and not even when it is worthy, even as a scapegoat.
Oh, okay.
So this should tell the president how much people have taken him as an object of anger, and therefore he needs to come back again and serve the people, and now that can open up room for the economic discussion now.
Let's go to page 21 and look of the Standard. The World Bank has told Kenya to live within its means amid economic struggles, and 193 billion Kenya shillings is what Kenya plans to borrow from the United Arab Emirates, despite warnings that this could exacerbate the country's precarious debt situation. DG?
I have asked you one more time that, I'm a very small leader in the village there. And sometimes commenting on national and international issues, it's a little bit difficult for me. But I would like to, when we are talking about the economy and the state why World Bank is telling the economy to live within its means, I have to come back at what this actually means to the people in the villages. And right there on that page, on page 20, we still have another story that still speaks to the same economy, that the coffee output in the Mount Kenya region has plummeted, whereas in some in the regions of Western and Rift Valley has a little bit of rise. And I want to look at this in the context of the economy that we are speaking here right now. Because remember, coffee is one of the largest industries within the Mount Kenya region, and also, and especially because in the Western region and in the Rift Valley, this is just coming up. It's just rising up. It's when that they are starting to develop the coffee industries. Where it primarily had been is within the Mount Kenya region, and especially the 10 counties of the Central Region Economic Bloc. However, I want to look at this in the context of our debt. Remember, part of the reason why coffee sector has failed in majority and why we have this rise within the Mount Kenya region is because of the high debts that the farmers have within the region, the coffee farmers have, that these cooperatives have. And I want to look at this in the context of the national economy, the national economic issues. When the president in the beginning of his term was going around the country speaking to farmers, he had promised that some of these debts are going to owed to the farmers of sugar, or to the farmers of sisal, or to the farmers of pyrethrum, and others are going to, the government is going to erase those debts so that farmers can be able to walk into production. However, that has not been implemented in within the coffee sector, where I have to say in this context where my region is. And this is why you have seen these this plummeting of the economy and of coffee production. And when I look at this, I'm looking at failures in economy. Because remember, in Murang'a, the farmers of coffee in Murang'a are over 110,000 farmers. Those are 110,000 households. How many, into context, those are so many households that are affected by the plummeting and the outcomes of coffee in Murang'a than any other place across the country, that the economic prospects are going down. So when we look at the 193 billion expected to be borrowed from the Emirates, from the United Arab Emirates, and also what the World Bank is warning about this, then it all brings together about Wanjiko. Because if the context is not to ensure that Wanjiko economy is growing, that their prospect in farming is coming up, then what else? Because remember, if we cannot prop up the economic means of the common Wananchi, then our ability to pay these debts, is going to go down. Remember, if the economy is not performing well at the grassroots level, then it also means that even if we borrow 1 shilling, we cannot be able to pay that 1 shilling because we are not doing well. And I have to agree with the Prof here, because when he indicated that when the economic challenges face the family, then he is in trouble. Then he is in trouble.
Your wife can
that is very true. To the coffee farmer who expected to produce 1,000 kgs, then he produced 800, and he cannot cover the difference because he spent money aiming to produce 1,000. But he cannot get to 1,000, he only got to 800. So he is going to a 200 kgs loss of his coffee. That's significant.
Yeah.
That's significant to a household in Murang'a, in Kirinyaga, in anywhere where the coffee production is going down. Go to the other side when it comes to searching for market and prices of our coffee. If we cannot manage to get proper coffee market, proper prices for our coffee, then it also means we can still not afford the fertilizers that we should buy. We cannot afford farm input. We cannot afford even taking children to school, because these are issues that are at the core of the economy of this country, which is agriculture.
Let's bring in Prof.
So first of all, I like the fact that you are supporting me that when economy is not doing very well, women start being disrespectful at home. They send you some messages. When you say, hi, sweetheart, you don't get sweetheart back. But the point I'm trying to draw here, you talked about the issue of the microeconomic environment, which informs the macroeconomic environment. So anytime, I actually tell people, anytime you see Kikuyu suffering, if you're a Luo, be worried. No, people don't know that. If you see a Kalenjin suffering, be worried. Because what our Kalenjin is doing, there's something they are producing in the value chain that is coming to you.
Yeah.
When you see the coffee, the tea, the milk industry, for the guys in Makueni, isn't it? Those ones suffering, you know it's going to affect you.
Yes.
So Kenyans, I'm telling you, we are connected to the economy more than even the tribal connection. So forget about tribe. Think about how the economy works as a whole. So if you see, for example, for a long time, the coffee farmers, the tea farmers, exporters, the fresh produce exporters who export to UK and the rest, the government is adding a lot of taxation and levies on them. They are being treated badly by KFIs. When you see those mistreated, when you see them in the newspaper suffering, so George, if you want to understand the problem we are talking about, read the two papers together. The front page of Business Daily, World Bank warns Kenya on secret Adani-type deals. Then you go to 21 page, World Bank tells Kenya to live within its means and amid economic struggles. Why is World Bank warning us on different issues? This is about which deals we make. This is about how economy is performing, meaning that Kenya does not want to live within their means. Now, let me tell you what. Who is the most quoted person saying live within your means? The president, isn't it?
Yes.
Isn't it?
Yes.
So when we say that we need honesty, honesty, my brother, is key, is a core value, isn't it? Now, when the president has been quoted, when he told us, I don't want to subsidize consumption, I want to subsidize production, isn't it? I don't want to do subsidies, I want you to live within your means, isn't it?
Yes.
Now, World Bank is warning us to live within our means. So are you warning Kenya or you should warn the executive, isn't it? So that is said and done. So what is this? This is a very serious issue. Anybody who want to come to invest in Kenya reads what World Bank is saying, isn't it?
Yeah.
So this is sending away foreign direct investment. Then when foreign direct investment does not come now, more foreign direct investment is going to Ethiopia, more is going to Tanzania, less is coming to Kenya, because our screaming headlines are about how we are in trouble, how we are in bad deals, isn't it? I am thinking that, can we start having some headlines in Kenya, not lying, but honest headlines, on what are we doing about these deals we are doing? Can we start talking about how we are borrowing to ensure it works? And I want to tell Mr. President, this is where we disagreed, and that's why I lost my job in Strathmore, isn't it? That, no, when there's no consumption, there's no need of production.
Okay.
Let me give you just a current example.
Very, very briefly.
During COVID-19, I was advising Federation of Kenyan Employers, all these employers. Somebody was saying, let us lobby to remove money from the hotel industry and put money on farming, because hotel industry is dying during COVID. I told them that's a joke. Because if you put money on tomatoes, on oranges, on cabbage, and there's no hotel, who is eating them? So you cannot be telling me that you are removing money from consumption and you're putting money on production and you have a balance. The issue is the balance between production and consumption.
Let's close
and let
this.
me just say this.
Yes.
The president should not think that when you give Kenyans money, you become poor.
All right.
When you give Kenyans money, you become rich, because if you give a Kenyan 10,000 shillings now, by midday, the money is back to you.
Okay.
So pay pending bills back. This is where to live within your means, isn't it? Pay people the pending bills. Let families start working. They want to have a Christmas. Give them a Christmas gift. Pay pending bills. Ensure the salaries are not pending.
We're overrunning, yeah.
And then from there, the economy will overcome, because people will consume without you actually subsidizing anything.
About Christmas, close with the festive message to
Yes. I want to wish the people of Murang'a a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And as we close towards the year, I want to wish, and especially our young people of Murang'a who have joined us in the Murang'a Youth Service, that we are organizing a graduation for them on the 15th of December, so that we can. We have been with them for the past 3 months. They have done the examination. We want to graduate them, and we want to also give them the checks for the grants that we promised to them, so that they can also be able, in the new year, they can be able to go to work. So as we promised them, we also want to come in January for the people of Murang'a, that every child in our public secondary schools who performed well in their last term, from number 1 to number 10, we are going to meet in January, and we are going to pay for their entire year school fees when they have performed between number 1 and number 10. So I want to wish them a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Mine is to tell Kenyans that don't pay too many of Christmas bills and pay less of January bills. There's school fees coming. So if you have some extra money, clear school fees for January 1st. Because then a family will break in January when the kids can't go to school. Your wife will look at you like no man at home. So I'm telling people of Ugenya and Siaya, please start by clearing the January bills, then now spend the money on Christmas. Then I also want to talk to the women. You have this silly idea of chapati parties during Christmas, where people save money for a whole year so that you eat all that chapati over Christmas. Please, put this money into education, put this money into your child uniform next year, shoes and the rest, because January for sure will be the longest month in...
chapati over the December holiday.
There's no point of eating chapati in January, then starving, and then having a broken marriage in January. And for the people of Kilifi County, you know that's my county. I'm coming there for New Year. We are going to have a good time there. Only at least bringing the leadership of Kilifi County to start checking on the government of Kilifi County as we advance. And I want to take this time also to wish the entire Uzima University fraternity, the faculty, the students, and the community of Uzima. And I'm telling them that what happened in Uzima, that is the journey of transformation to bring goodies to Uzima. We are committed. and we are going to ensure that we advance health science in that region. And thank you very much for inviting me, George.
Asante sana. Indeed, this is the last Wednesday of Morning Cafe this year. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for always joining us and for watching, to our viewers, and for always coming to the program. We've been speaking to Stephen Munania, Deputy Governor, Murang'a County, as well as Professor Fred Ogola, a governance expert. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us. And for your feedback, I'll just sample very briefly in 30 seconds on our SMS line. Hello, George. Ni Justice kutoka Stage 2 Kawangware. Let the government be serious and sort out the SHA drama, because Kenyans are suffering a lot. On YouTube, I've got here Ward Karen. You say, watching live from Nairobi. I love Prof. What the president should know is that Kenyans are informed. I will filter the rest. Then Boniface Muchungi saying, Ruaka Kiambu County, tuned in. Thank you so much, Boniface. Let's talk with Boss Baby. You're saying, catching live from Murang'a. Glad to see our DG. Thank you so much, gentlemen. My name is George Maringa. We thank you so much for watching Morning Cafe. Up next is Stanley Nyaringita. As always, stay safe and be kind to one another. I'll see you tomorrow. Have a wonderful day.